You are watching KEVU 25 News Now at 10.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Adam Seibel. Right before we went on the air, we got an alert of a car wreck. So this is a live shot right now. We have 25 News Now reporter Darius McCormick who is on the scene. So this is a motor vehicle accident off of Navarro and Glasgow Street. So you can see right there, this is just very recent, within the last 15 minutes. So Darius told us that it doesn't appear to be any injuries, but it's significant enough to where you can see traffic being diverted. So that's the Navarro and Glasgow. So if you can, avoid that area because they are working that car wreck right now. So we'll have more information on this later. Come to crossroadstoday.com for the latest and updated information. Again, this is Navarro and Glasgow. So please avoid that area for that vehicle wreck. A contract worker at Formosa's Plastics Corporation died Friday morning in Point Comfort. Early reports say that he fell 40 feet from a scaffolding, and it's unclear if the worker had an experienced journeyman with him or if he was tied down with fall protection or if it failed. The name of that worker who died has not been released, and we're waiting to hear back from the Calhoun County Sheriff's Office, who also responded to that incident. In a press release, Formosa said the investigation is ongoing and that they cannot confirm the details at this time. They also added that they would like to express their deepest sympathies to the contractor employee's family. Friday morning, Victoria County Sheriff's deputies arrested two men at a home in the 2600 block of Prince Street. 38-year-old Daniel Jose Camaril arrested for court warrants, and 33-year-old Jared O'Neill Faro arrested for felony possession of a controlled substance. Also there, a juvenile male suspected shooter taken into custody and charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. That is connected to a July 2nd shooting in the 500 block of Commerce Street in Bloomington. 3 different weapons were taken in the search. And Victoria police are still investigating a report of shots being fired at Our Lady of Victory Church. That's at the corner of Laurent and Mesquite. According to witnesses, someone fired shots into the door during the night. Police asking anyone who has information to contact them at 361-573-3221. Turning now to that record-breaking heat wave. More than 90 million Americans from Washington state to Florida under heat alerts. Phoenix now nearing its longest stretch of temperatures soaring above 110. And then over here in the Lone Star State in El Paso, temperatures hitting 100 degrees for a record-setting 29 days in a row. And parts of Europe facing oppressive heat and the possibility of historic temperatures. In the U.S., the Northeast also bracing for another flash flood threat.
Tonight, the blistering heat wave from coast to coast, with temperatures only getting hotter, threatening to break more records. More than 90 million Americans under heat warnings and advisories. In Phoenix, more than 2 weeks straight of 110-plus degree temperatures. The sidewalks reaching above 150 degrees.
I just walked out of the operating room after operating on a patient who had gone down and suffered really bad pavement burns.
The city offering help to the most vulnerable as Phoenix sees a rise in heat-related deaths. The relentless heat in Texas hitting a record stretch of 100 degrees for nearly a month in a row in El Paso. Triple-digit heat in San Antonio forcing construction crews to bring in HVAC machines to cool them off while they work.
That brings down the temperatures a lot. From triple-degree weather down to, it feels like 80s, 70s.
And it's not only happening here. The extreme temperatures made worse by human-caused climate change happening all over the globe. In Athens, sweltering heat forcing the Acropolis to shut down again. Sweltering heat also gripping parts of China for several weeks.
Well, here in Las Vegas, the hottest temperatures are yet to come. Tomorrow, the city potentially tying its all-time record high of 117 degrees. Mola Lengi, ABC News, Las Vegas.
So this brings us to your viewer poll this evening. Has those extreme temperatures prevented you from doing any of your normal summer activities? Looks like 81% say yes, that's kept you indoors and in the cool, and 19% say no. Well, either way, we want you to stay safe and drink plenty of water. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part in those viewer polls. Howie, we're not getting much relief here either. It seems like triple digits, and then with those heat indices, it's perfect time to drink tons of water.
No, stay hydrated for sure, Adam. Yeah, our temperature's right around that 100-degree mark. San Antonio broke a record today, their previous record of 102, 104 for today. We are right around 100, but again, as Adam mentioned, with heat indices, we're 109, 108, and those could start to push higher later in the week as we are expecting some moisture. A little breezy today. High pressure kind of tugging on some of the systems to the north, so yeah, we're seeing a few gusts here and there up to 20 miles per hour. Only going to drop to 81 under mostly clear skies. Now, there's a chance that we see those heat indices pushing up really high later in the week with extra moisture. And we'll talk more about that in my full forecast coming up in just a bit, Adam.
All right, thanks, Howie. Now to that historic Hollywood strike upending the industry. It's the first time in more than 60 years that both actors and writers have been on strike at the same time. And the financial and human toll could be devastating. Related industries from catering services to makeup now reeling as well, and this could go on for months.
What do we want? Contracts!
Tonight, day 2 of that Hollywood shutdown and growing concerns over the spreading economic impact.
Our picket lines are more full than ever.
160,000 actors in the SAG-AFTRA union joining the Writers Guild on strike Friday. The first time since 1960 both have been on strike simultaneously.
There's just a general work stoppage. There's a lot of crew out of work right now.
And not just actors and writers feeling the effects. Tens of thousands in adjacent industries depend on TV and movie productions for their livelihood. Mark Hartman owns a cafe near a major studio, and he says the last writer's strike was difficult to recover from.
You lost 40% of your business last time.
Yeah, for a long time. And we also lost half our staff, too. They lost their jobs, too.
Corey Lavelle, whose business provides flower-related props for studio productions, says she had to lay off half her staff even before the actors joined the writers on strike.
I'm looking at losing about $100,000 a month. I'm a small company. That's a lot of money.
The striking SAG-AFTRA members demanding regulations for artificial intelligence in productions, higher wages, and increased residual pay. For its part, the association representing the studios says it offered actors historic pay and residual increases and protections for actors' digital likeness from AI, but that their offer was rejected. And there is no sign of a deal being reached anytime soon. 15 years ago, when just the writers picketed for 3 months, it cost California alone over $2 billion, according to a study by the Milken Institute. Experts warn of a potentially bigger impact this time around. Zoreen Shah, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Victoria is featured on a series called YOLO Texas TV. You can catch YOLO on KAVU tomorrow, that's Sunday, at noon. And then KXTS also tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. You can find these cool socks on the YOLO tour. They feature Victoria legend brother Gary Moses. Those are some fun socks. So YOLO Texas TV is a 30-minute travel and lifestyle television show. And if you can't catch those show times tomorrow, don't worry. You can check them out on YouTube at YOLO TX TV to watch that. I think it's a 30-minute episode, and it's all about Victoria, so some really cool stuff. And while you're on YouTube, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. You can hit that like button and click the notification bell. And stay with us, coming right up. A mystery in Alabama when a woman has seemingly vanished after she made a 911 call about a child in the street.
We're expected to maybe cool down as some of that Saharan dust moves into the area. We'll talk more about it coming up in just a bit.
mystery in Alabama where a young woman called 911 to report a toddler on the side of the road, but when police arrived, she had seemingly vanished, and there was no sign of a child either. The community now coming together to search for this missing woman.
Police in Hoover, Alabama, just outside of Birmingham, are searching for 25-year-old Carlethia Carly Russell, who disappeared after calling 911 Thursday evening.
On July the 13th, at approximately 9:34 p.m., the Hoover 911 Center received a call from a 25-year-old female on I-459 southbound near mile marker 11. She reported that she saw a toddler walking on the side of the interstate.
After calling 911, she then called a family member.
She told the relative that she was on the phone with that I can't leave this child on the side of the road with something happening to them.
The family member lost contact with her, but the phone line remained open. Her mother tells ABC News that the family member heard what sounded like a scream, but just background noise after that. When officers arrived at the location of the initial 911 call, they said they found Carly's vehicle and some of her belongings nearby.
They were unable to find her or a child in the area, and Hoover police have not received any additional calls of someone missing a small child.
Carly's mother also tells ABC News the car was still running with the door open.
We just ask that the public will do everything that they can to help search for her.
Her father fighting back tears.
She's my life. She's my baby girl. She's our baby girl. Irreplaceable.
As the investigation continues, the community coming together to search for the young woman.
The Hoover Police Department is currently partnering with many of our local, state, and federal partners in this investigation, and we're very grateful for the outpouring of support from our local community as well as the law enforcement community.
Dave Packer, ABC News, New York.
We want to invite you to see what we're tweeting about on our Twitter page. So today, Alabama police are continuing their search for that woman who went missing. So you can find that on our Twitter, Crossroads Today. So go ahead and give us a follow and keep up with us on there as well. The Texas Department of State Health Services has launched a fentanyl data dashboard. This is part of the state's One Pill Kills campaign and shows and tracks fentanyl poisoning deaths. Texans can access information that shows fentanyl-related deaths from the past 10 years and search by demographics or geography. To see that dashboard, come to crossroadstoday.com for that information, and you can check out our 25 News Now Extra looking into the dangers of fentanyl. The race for the White House and halfway to the Iowa caucuses. GOP candidates descending on the state this weekend and today. Also a big filing deadline for fundraising totals. Former Vice President Mike Pence facing some tough questions after reporting just over $1 million for his presidential campaign.
With exactly 6 months until the first Iowa caucuses, tonight Republican presidential candidates trying to woo voters in the crucial state. At a major evangelical summit this weekend, an event skipped by Donald Trump, attendees made clear they think someone else could catch up to the former president and clear frontrunner.
Like Ron DeSantis, where he's turned in, we're like, no, I'm not going to listen to these other people that are persuading me away from what I was elected to be.
Vivek Ramaswamy, an outsider and entrepreneur, has been climbing in the polls and received a standing ovation.
Do you think that Ramaswamy could really catch fire here? I mean, he seemed to win over that crowd.
I think he can.
I think he could. I think he's got an uphill battle.
His team says he's already reached the number of unique donors required to qualify for the debate next month. But other campaigns could be in trouble. New filings show that Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson, a Trump critic, raised only $743,000 in the second quarter.
Are you going to make the cut?
Well, the answer is yes.
And former Vice President Mike Pence also trailing behind rivals like Trump, DeSantis, Nikki Haley, and Tim Scott.
Are you going to make the debate stage?
We'll make the debate stage, but we're working around the clock to make sure that we reach that threshold.
We have a hot temperature threshold. We're going to talk all about it coming up in just a moment. All right, so heat advisories continued again. We had excessive heat warnings. Those are outside of the viewing area. Now, we do have moisture headed our way. The thing about it is that Saharan dust, that might disrupt that process. But if that moisture does arrive, heat indices then on the rise as well, as long as the sun doesn't block out the rays and, and heat up the ambient temperature. Okay, so today we hit 98 degrees. Over in San Antonio, we hit 99. San Antonio was 104 degrees, setting a record. Back in 2000, we were as high as 103. Now, with some fronts and some storms to the north, tugging on high pressure, yeah, we had some gusts today. We had winds around 15, 20, even 25 miles per hour. So we'll stay a little bit on that breezy side with all those surrounding systems. All right, dew points. For the most part, mid to upper 70s, some spots in the 80s. We were a little lower earlier in the day. As the air cools a little bit, then you have higher dew points, more moisture and less content of air. Let's not do a science lesson right now, but as more moisture does move into the area, these could start to elevate, and if that happens, our heat indices will be on the rise as well. Now, with the breezy conditions, if these were to get a little lower, then we could have some fire weather. But at the moment, I think we're just on the threshold of not having any type of fire weather problems. All right, here's our heat indices. Still on the coast at 100 plus. We move away from the water in the 90s. Now, earlier today, yeah, we were pushing 98, 99, 100 for our temperatures. Heat indices were about 108 to 109. Again, if more moisture does move in later in the week without that Saharan dust disrupting things, then hey, we could start to see these heat indices starting to climb towards what we had a few weeks ago, 115, 117. But for now, yeah, we could stick around that 110, 111 degree range. Sorry, it's about the cough, but I'm not gonna. So here's what we got. You see this cold front here. You see the low pressure system. Now with high pressure kind of moving and tugging, all that extra tugging, that's why we saw those winds. But for the most part, yeah, I talked about that moisture kind of headed our way, but that could get disrupted because we're also looking at some of that Saharan dust. So if the moisture moves, that could increase temperatures, but with the Saharan dust, that could block out sunshine, that could disrupt cloud formation and rain as well. So it's going to be a fine little line of balance of the moisture kind of battling up with the Saharan dust. That is headed our way, and it's here now. So yeah, this can pose problems with air quality if you're an asthma sufferer. At the same time, all this dust blocks out sunshine, prevents lift of the moisture and cloud formation. Thus, you're not seeing many things in the way of storms out in the Atlantic other than to the north and away from this dust, which I'll get to in a second. Seas 2 to 3, that'll keep base on the choppy side. So here the dust is to the south, the storms are to the north. This storm, Don, it's pretty much starting to weaken. It's just going to stay out there in the middle of the Atlantic, really not posing a threat to anybody except some shipping lanes. 81 degrees overnight tonight. Tomorrow, hey, right around 100. With the heat index, though, hey, pushing 111 degrees. Looking ahead to the rest of the week, we stay around that 110 degree mark for the heat indices, with our ambient temperature staying around 100 with lots and lots of sunshine. For more weather, news, and sports, you go to our app. That's at crossroadstoday.com, and that is free on any Android and iPhone. And now, that's right, we go to Sports with Zach.
Howie, thank you. It got scrappy last night, and a local football star just made a huge decision. That's coming up in sports. Well, the 6th annual Tapper Scrap gave you everything you could have asked for and then some. There were 12 fights on the card. We told you yesterday what goes on in that octagon isn't pretty, but they do put on some pretty good fights. This was fight number 5 on the card. Emmanuel Garcia of San Antonio and Elmer of Houston. This fight a true testament to toughness and perseverance. These two back and forth for 2 rounds, but to end the match, they determined Emmanuel the winner because Elmer was concussed. Now the main event of the night, a hometown guy, Johnny Ramirez, who was met with a lot of fanfare. The crowd was very into it the entire time. I guess that's why they call him Showtime. This fight was for the first ever lightweight championship belt in Tapper Scrap history. Chants of Johnny could be heard throughout the arena. In the end, a brutal kick to the solar plexus prompted the ref to call the match. Corpus Christi's Cole Knapp takes home the belt. Although a disappointing finish, he couldn't have been happier with the love Victoria showed him.
It's tremendous, man. It felt really good. I worked my butt off all camp. You know, I dropped 30 pounds for this fight, first time ever. Yeah, and my gym, my teammates, everybody in Victoria behind me, amazing, amazing. Definitely, I'm ready to go tomorrow. I'm always down to go. I love the fight, man. I really do. This is just, it's happened before, and Monday we'll be back in the gym, and on to the next, man. Whoever wants to, let's get it, let's fight.
He says his face will take about a week to heal, and he's ready to get right back at it and represent Victoria once again. Well, no one likes to be the bearer of bad news, but we'll accept it today, and that's because Victoria's own Bad News Chairs are in action. They won early this morning and turned around to win Game 2 by a score of 4-3. The tournament taking place in the Challenged Athletes Dream Complex in Riverside Park. These guys trying to win it all. They play again tonight. That game started around 8:30. They'll hopefully play for the championship tomorrow. Again, that is going on at 3105 Vine Street. Down at the Victoria Aquatic Center, dozens upon dozens of talented swimmers showcasing their hard work. Organizers say this event allows those who have been working all summer to compete against their peers at a higher level. This is a competitive event. If they win at the state level, they can make it to a national level where they can represent Texas. Today, they had the 11 and up kids. Tomorrow, the 10 and under group. After winning 12 in a row, the Victoria Generals lost 3 tough games in a row, hoping to turn that around tonight at Riverside. They got very fortunate in the 6th inning. A base running blunder is the second out, and they would end up stranding the runners at the corners after a strikeout. They were still tied at 3. In the bottom of the 6th inning, the Generals making solid contact, just couldn't cash in. But in the 7th inning, Levi Castilleja drives in the go-ahead run with a base knock, and the Generals escape with a 4-3 win. Well, earlier this evening, 4-star Refugio Bobcat Ernest Campbell has verbally committed to Texas A&M University. The standout receiver did so in front of family, friends, coaches, and teammates, announcing his commitment via a video reveal. The speedster narrowed his options down to Houston, Texas Tech, and Texas A&M. Had many great options, just like the idea of staying closer to home. He still has his senior year, so he'll have to wait one more year until he joins some of our other local athletes in Reuben Owens and Dalton Brooks, where he will play receiver and run track. Congrats to Ernest Campbell. Adam, back to you.
All right. Thanks, Zach. Stay with us. Coming up, today is National I Love Horses Day. you to experience our new digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus, which you can find on your connected TV through Amazon Fire, Roku, Apple, and Android TV, and on your cell phone. Just search Crossroads Today Plus. Horse lovers far and wide, today is a day for you. That's because it's National I Love Horses Day. It was created to highlight the animal's importance in human history and development, having been domesticated since ancient times. Horses are one of the most popular and beloved animals in the world. You can mark the day by visiting a stable, taking a horseback ride, or if you're feeling really adventurous, visit a national park or beach that has wild horses. So a fun fact for y'all, horses can see almost 360 degrees at once. Wow. Their only blind spots are directly in front of them and behind them.
They can't see in front of themselves or behind them?
Oh, I don't know. I've
just left, right, up and down.
That don't sound very 360 degrees to me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like 180.
Have you guys rode a horse before?
Directly across.
I have ridden the horse. Have y'all ever ridden one?
I've ridden a horse in the desert.
Me and we have this reporter here named Darius McCormick. Me and him.
I forgot about that. Y'all did that live shot.
We went to Cuero. We rode the horses, I think, at Red, White, and Bulls. It was a very scary moment. Nobody walked it around. I had to control it myself. Very well-behaved horses, just very scary to ride.
So we've all ridden some horses.
Yeah,
not my vibe.
Very Texan of us to all have ridden some horses.
Very Texan of us. But I've never put one of those horseshoes on like that before.
Yeah.
I don't think that's my forte either. But let's take one last look at our weather here as well. Yeah, that dust, that's posing problems with the air quality, but it's also slowing down moisture development, cloud development, and overall storm activity. So keeping the area dry. Now, that storm I showed you earlier, Don, that's really to the north in the mid-Atlantic away from the dust. So yeah, where this dust path is from here to the Sahara, nothing really too much in the way of any stormy activity. 81 overnight. Tomorrow, 98. Heated to see 110 plus, and looking ahead, a bunch of 110 pluses throughout much of the week, guys.
Hurricane Don.
Hurricane Don.
He's had enough. Blue Baker's had enough.
All right. Thanks, Zach. Thanks, Howie. Thank y'all for being with us. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Have a good night.